Friction Points, a focused 30-minute conversation in true Mitchell Stankovic and Associates style. This is where the underground credit union shared services and our strategic consulting come together to showcase how innovation becomes real for credit unions no matter the size. My name is Buell Collins. I'm your host today, and I'm excited to talk about a new product coming out. Uh, Stick around afterwards. We're going to do a Q&A with our awesome panel here about 15 minutes after this discussion. So, what is that new product we are excited to talk about? Well, in partnership with the Coeus Institute, we're announcing the launch of Omni 53, a breakthrough business intelligence platform designed for every credit union in the United States. Built in 2026 with 24 quarters of NCUA 5300 call report data, Omni 53 transforms public regulatory filings into strategic insight, peer context, and board-ready intelligence. Accessible to credit unions of all sizes, this is not a feature added to an old tech stack. It is an AI autonomous data engine built for credit unions from the ground up. It's a new category of 5300 intelligence, and today you get to see it in action. And to talk about that, I have Michai Morin, the CEO of Coeus Institute and a data scientist. How many data scientists do you know? Okay. I know this guy. All right. So that's cool. And then I have the awesome Susan Mitchell. You know her, you love her, and my friend and coworker here, Zach Christensen. Please take it away for me.
All right. Thank you, Buell. Pleasure to be here. And I'm going to make this short and sweet because we want to get to the fun stuff here. So Buell did a great job getting us set up, but we are truly at a point where data needs to take the next step. We've been talking about it for years, may I say decades, probably. But we now have the tools that can really help us. However, we also then have to learn how to use those tools to make it work for us. So what better than to have a system like Omni 53 to bring out the data that we have been staring at for as long as the NCUA has been around. And so if you're a credit union CEO and you're thinking, hey, maybe this is exactly what I'm looking for, you're right. If you're not a credit union CEO, but you're like, I would love to know what I could do with this data, you're in the right spot too. So with that, I'm going to get us started. And so, Michai, I want to start with you and, tell us how a little bit of the story of how MSA and Coeus came together to create Omni 53.
Yeah, it was a bit serendipitous. We were looking for other industries that might be in need of the types of systems we build, which is data intelligence systems, systems that take very complex and unstructured data and make sense of it. And so what we learned very quickly is it's a need for every industry. And then through that, we have a colleague, a mutual colleague, that introduced me to Susan. And Susan kind of told me some of the pain points of the industry, which initiated a deep dive research into the industry, the types of data you guys work with. And we immediately saw what Susan was talking about. It's a mess. The NCUA data is unintelligible to even begin getting any sort of insight from. And so we worked hard, and that's how this project became Omni 53.
Did he miss anything, Sue? I know technically I'm not going to you next, and so you can get your mute button first before I really you're my.
I had turned it off so I
I
wouldn't
know.
interrupt Michai, but thank you very much, everybody. Hi. The thing that I would add is that the 5300 data, we've all accessed one way or another. We do it for ourselves, we input the data, and the overall point that that for me, for all of you, is the fact that we want to give access to intelligent information using AI in a way that all credit unions. So not an overlay on existing other programs or, the reports generated for you. Let you be curious, let you get in and play with the data. And so we found Michai and Coeus Institute, and we just connected right away. And the final thing I have on the introduction is, folks, I just really like him.
Oh, thank you.
He just believes in what we're trying to do, and we want to bring this data in an intelligent format to all size credit unions. So we'll tell you more about that, but every credit union in the industry, small at 10 million all the way to our largest, this will be available. So we'll go from there. Thank you, Zach.
Yes, beautiful. And I have to agree. Michai is probably one of the nicest guys, but also gets credit unions from the cooperative spirit was built into him. So, Michai, without any further ado, we have people who want to see this thing. So let's see it in action. And why don't you kind of take us at the beginning and see where a CEO or an executive would start their day to really kind of get the major insights.
Let me know if you can see the screen.
Seeing you at the login.
Excellent. So this is where you'd start. Once you're signed up, you just log in and boom, here we are. We are at your dashboard. So during the onboarding process, meaning when you sign up for Omni 53, you'll be asked if you want to align your profile with a particular credit union. For this example, I chose my credit union here in Maine to show off. But if you're someone else, you might choose a different credit union. And this is where you will land. And right immediately, you'll see Q4 2025. That is last year's filing. And just yesterday, we got the new data. And here it is. So every quarter, our system will pick up the data as soon as it's available, deconstruct it, compile it, restructure it into our database, and then present it to you as the user in a fashion that is, able to understand. And so here's the dashboard. Right off the bat, you kind of get a snapshot of your credit union. I'm not going to go through every piece of information, but what we've done is we've made this extremely palatable. Everywhere you hover will indicate what it is you're looking at, to help you understand. For those who aren't data analysts or data scientists, it'll break it down for you. So immediately I see my credit union year over year went down 1% from last year's filings. Loan to share growth. These are all what you expect from an expensive consultation report. But here you can see it, interact with it very quickly. The amount of information is so rich that you could spend hours just having fun, or you could spend 5 minutes targeting exactly what you want to look at. And so everything is here. Everything is described. It's very easy to understand. And that's just the dashboard.
I love it. Well, let's stop there for a minute. And Sue, you've worked in many a system out there. So what was it about this what was your first reaction kind of seeing the institution displayed like this?
Yeah, for those of us that are working with data within your credit unions, we, as you know, do consulting and work directly with the CEO, executive team, many of you. And so for me, when I immediately looked at it, I love the idea of a health report. I love the idea of being able to look at it from a color coding standpoint. It's my own intelligence. I don't have to report it in any particular way. I can choose it. And then when you go down and Michai was showing us, it had the ratios there. So in a more dynamic way, we could be looking below financial ratios. You could be looking at the financial ratios and see exactly what your net worth ratio is and what kind of dynamic is happening there. And because it's dynamic, using AI right from the beginning, designed to be used by executives, then I can hover over something, I can pull it up. But more importantly, I feel like I'm really on top of it. I'm on top of the data. And we'll talk about other platforms, but we have this 5,300 data and different providers have done different things with it. But this is my tool. That's what I like. This is my ability to get in there and look at what's happening with cars. Where are we with our business lines? Where are we with our ratios? So
Yeah.
it's a quick snapshot.
I love it. I love it. It's built in a way that I understand it without going through Western CUNA Management School to go through the entire thing and get it. So it's been helpful for me. Michai, one of the most common questions that CEOs and executives want to see right away is how do we compare? And it's not just, how do I sit in the industry? It's how do I
Yeah.
compare to my direct peers, whether it be locally in the state or it be across the US? What does that look like?
Yeah, so when we built Omni 53 as Coeus Institute, we work with government, defense, intelligence. So we didn't really know what executives in the credit union industry were looking for. And so Susan and the team kind of helped us identify exactly what you guys are interested in. And one of those things is a peer analysis. How do we compare? And so through our efforts, we were able to develop a very fast and intuitive way to compare your credit union to a peer group or a cohort. And that's through this peer analysis page. And you can choose your peer group. I think my credit union is 1 billion, 1.1 maybe. So I'll select the asset group here. And here we see we're right at the median for member growth, but how are we in ROA? Oh, looks like my credit union is down from the median. Maybe there's a reason for that. Or efficiency, looks like we're really efficient. And then if you hover over it, it explains kind of the range. We're above median. But if we wanted to do a direct comparison, for those who like tables, you can just select comparison and it'll give you a table showing, us as the baseline. And then you can select or you can add them to your watch list, which we can show later. I mean, there are an infinite number of combinations in which you can analyze and assess your credit union in comparison to others. That doesn't mean it's super complicated. It means that you just have the ability to really dive in if you wanted to, or just take a quick snapshot if that's what you were looking for.
Yeah. And Sue, in addition to the work of, working directly, you actually sit on boards as nominating committees and things. So what did this change in your mind on how you might present this to fellow board members or to CEOs as a strategic partner?
Well, I think a couple things. First of all, the simplicity of it. Being able to go in and establish my peers by asset size, it's just fabulous. I don't have to go through various levels to be able to do it. The fact that the individual data sets I'm able to control the filters and work with the filters and be able to look at the financials in a very cool way. I'm a person that starts to analyze something and then I want to go deeper and I don't want to necessarily have it be more complicated to do that. So by the way that they've established these, quick data set analysis pieces, it really makes it significant. From a board perspective, because I know we have a couple of board members on this call, it gives everybody access to the same data. Okay. So if there's something that you've been wondering about, any of us have been wondering about, then you can go in and take a look at it. and you can set your data set to look at it. And then you can go, I wonder why people are doing it that way. Why does ours, change? So it gives me the opportunity as a board member to go in and ask my questions of the data before I necessarily bring it to an audience of my peers or of an executive team.
I love that. I love that. I agree. Because we have done it and pulled in different ways. So this just not only was it immediate, but then it you can create the reports how you want to see it or present it too. So okay, the big one. CEOs are not CEOs if they are not looking at risk, right? And so most risk reporting is pretty static. It's forecast modeling. But Omni 53 does do a pretty good job of looking forward, instantly kind of giving you meaningful insights. So would you take us through what that looks like, Michai?
Yeah, this was a difficult sort of function for the system because risk, it needs to be defined. You need to have all the calculation tables and understand the relationship. And so over time, we ended up developing an extremely robust risk analysis, risk assessment system. And once you click on the risk assessment, because we're logged into, associated with my credit union, it's giving me information on my credit union as an executive, what to look out for, what, is targeted and needs attention. And that's all here. And you can literally kind of hover over elevated watch. It tells you what you're looking for. And then it gives you a priority watch list based on the data of my NCUA data for my credit union. And it recognizes, what is needing of attention based on change. So year over year, it looks like we were going up, and then all of a sudden we dropped down 1.2%. So does that mean it's a critical thing? No, it just means take a look at it and inspect it. The system isn't intended to give you all the answers and tell you exactly what to do, but it does point out the direction in which you should be focused on. Unless you're doing a report, which we'll look at later, that gives you kind of some direction and insight. So the risk is pretty self-explanatory. If you're constantly doing risk, you'll recognize a lot of these. We call them cards, these little things you hover over. Model fragility, aging liquidity, all of these things, drift. And so say this one, aging out liquidity. So 34,000. Let's take a look at that. So if I click on this, it brings me to the corresponding section here, and it breaks it down a little more for the user. So then it tells you uninsured share concentration. I'm not going to read through every one of these, but you can conceptualize kind of what is going on.
Perfect.
And then you can just continually dig into your risk assessment and say you just wanted to get this out quickly. You can export this immediately as a PDF and print it out and bring it to your next meeting, or
That's
you can
great.
copy and paste.
Yeah.
So Zach, I'll jump in.
Yeah,
One of the
please.
things, if I could, one thing on the side there is that you see, and if everybody can't see it, we're going to be recording this and it's large, but you see strategic, if you go back for a second, you'll see a strategic read, okay? And what they've built in is like, what does that ratio mean? And why is it categorized? So if you look at that read there on the side, then it's saying exactly what that is and what that means. And so if you see an area that needs to watch, then you can go in there and it'll tell you why. All right. And so for those of you that aren't as familiar with the data or the ratios, this is an opportunity to actually say, oh, okay, that means capital trajectory. Where are we going? How is it moving? And I just like how quickly I can compare what I'm seeing with the scorecard and then what I'm able to do with the strategic read on it.
And
Yeah.
Oh, real quick, just Sue, for me, that is like immediate board education.
Mhm.
So, too, because it just plainly sets it out there. You don't have to spend a whole day really going through it all. It will give them a grander idea, and then you can speak to it from kind of a standpoint of what this means for members.
Yeah, it's board and it's also staff. I mean, there are times that I get into meetings and people don't know exactly what everybody's referring to. And so this gives them access to be able to go in and do that too. So I know we have a limited amount of time. We're trying to show a lot of things, but I
We,
could just dig in on this.
yeah, I know, and we did start a couple minutes late, so I'm gonna say we're gonna go a little bit later, just to get it in. But this is the big one, Michai. So this is kind of
Yeah.
why we want people who are watching to pay attention now, in case you're doing some work on the side. But I want you to take us through how the data could actually reason with us through the co-AI that you have built. And
Yeah.
tell us what would a CEO ask maybe?
Yeah, that's great. That's actually my favorite feature of this entire system. But 1 second before I move on, I just wanted to point out that each of these strategic reads, you'll notice that we've color coordinated messaging. For example, here we have, two watch cards and one that needs attention. So the strategic read isn't going to show up as green. It's going to be, blue. However, if they were all needs attention, the strategic read will show a red kind of vertical bar.
Mhm.
And that is like a rapid indication. The whole point is to make it easy and quick for executives to understand.
Love it.
And so Koya, which is my favorite little function, is always available throughout the app. You just click this button and up pops a chat bot, we'll call it, but it's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. Koya is one of the first intelligent agentic agents that we know of that you can plainly talk to a massive amount of data, specifically the NCUA data, and it understands that I am Mackay and that my credit union is Atlantic Regional Federal Credit Union. And so then I can start asking it plain language questions about my credit union or my position or my risk or really anything. And
Well,
so
let's ask it something.
I had one queued up here.
Perfect.
The question is, what is driving our net worth trend and how does it compare to our peer group? A pretty typical baseline question. Depending on your subscription tier, the different models will be available for this. I'm just going to show you the lowest model. It's actually our fastest. It's still a very high reasoning model. And then we have two modes. You can get analytical responses. So say you're really trying to dig deep into the analytics, you can toggle that on, or you can stay on understanding mode, which makes it palatable, makes the responses understandable. One last thing before I shoot this off is that through our beta testing, one of the best feedback I heard was that can we add context because the system doesn't know our strategy. So we may have planned on our our ROI reducing this year, but that was because of XYZ. Here is an opportunity for execs or users to put in their mission and strategy, their objective and goals and context. That's optional, but what it'll do is it'll help Koya better understand and respond based on that.
Well, that's
Mhm.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a
I
good
love that.
idea. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, we had extensive beta testing to make sure that we were developing Omni 53 in alignment with the needs and use cases of
Yeah,
the
and I should
industry.
mention that, and that testing included CEOs of all
Yes.
sizes of credit
Yep.
unions. So that's been fabulous.
So this was our standard Koya response. What is driving our net worth trend and how does it compare? It tells us our net worth for Q1 2026, Q4 4 of 2025, and it gives you everything that would take a team to discover a few days, or pull the reports, analyze the reports, generate a new report. It just did in less than 20 seconds. And it breaks it down. And then you can ask follow-up questions if you want, or you can copy this and send it in an email. But let's ask a follow-up question. Let's analyze what is pressuring our earnings. And so it now knows semantically what we just asked it, and it understands the whole breadth of what we're doing here, and will look through the millions and millions of rows of data and provide, a complete breakdown for you, as simplified as possible. Unless you do analytics, which kind of takes the training wheels off and really breaks down the math. Even for me, as someone who lives in data, I get a little confused with financial algorithms and formula.
Yeah, so for those of us that are using some type of generative AI, no matter what it is, we know that we get in there and we ask, something makes us ask another question, and then we go a little further. The power of this tool, and why we're so excited, is that we can do that right within the system in a dynamic way, and we don't have to go outside or try to import other data and so on. So I look at this, and then I know that we're going to show board reports and things. But once we've done this, we can also then create a quick report, or like Michai said, share it with the executives and say, hey, let's get together and chat about this, especially if it's something that you're trying to grow. If you're trying to grow loans, if you're trying to, reach out and establish another service. So it really gives you the power to ask the questions that you want. And it's very important to me that CEOs, no matter their size, can use it. And I want one other point, and that's that some of the people like me, and I see that Jay Petty's on the call, and I just mentioned, people that are providing services to the credit union can also be part of this.
I love it. I think it's great. Well, I mean, we could play with that because I know everybody right now is in AI mode, prompting mode. But I really love the addition of creating your own identifying persona of what the credit union is in this moment, and being able to change that, because that it does create different outcomes, as we know when you're pulling this through. So real quickly, this one is really interesting. It is the board reports, and we saved it for last, but it tends to create the most stress before every board meeting. And I have to also say, you're going to show us what this looks like and how to create them. But one of our testers came to us and said, I went in, the first thing I did was create a board report I've been wanting to create, and it created it. And that for me that's my best aha with an AI, embedded model of anything, is that if I go into it and ask it to do the thing I really want it to do, and it does it first try, then dang, I'm sold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in our best interest to make sure, what we're providing the user works. And so that is one of the most powerful functions of Omni 53. And I suspect that most of the users might be subscribing just for this use case scenario. And so I don't know, maybe some of you hawk-eyed viewers notice that as I hover over any element in this system, you'll see this little add button. And what that does, so if I click it, it adds it to a bucket in the report tab. And so let's just go around and collect a couple of these. We did loan growth, core earnings. Let's do delinquency. Okay, so now we have 4 of these cards in our bucket, and we can click on reports and see what we've collected. And now I need to go to a board meeting or executive meeting or strategic meeting. I need a report quickly. I don't want to call a consultant and wait 3 months. I need it now. So I click the generate report based on what we selected. I can select the audience. We'll say, let's say board, just stick with the story. Let's do board briefing, style, stance. We can go deep. We'll do concise just to kind of speed it up. We'll do plain language, risk, and then there's the optional framing if we want to add our own context to it. This is entirely optional. It just kind of refines how the model thinks. And so now we just begin. We'll call it what it is here, and we'll begin. And so now this is a tremendous amount of engineering that went into this particular function. This isn't, let's feed some stuff to ChatGPT. This is multiple agents reviewing databases that expand tens and tens of millions of rows of data, correlates that based on the context scenario, meaning my credit union, our objectives, our strategy, and the cards that we selected. So this report will review the metrics that were in those cards that we put in the bucket, and then everything else that's wrapped around it. And it'll think for a minute or two, depending on how many cards that you've selected, and generate a printable, board ready, executive ready, professional report based on that.
So
Yeah.
So while it's generating this, I'll just make one little modification. But not all credit unions take or all consultants take 3 months to respond.
Yeah, sorry.
No. But the power of it is that it won't. I'll be able to look at this data, our team, our partners, and be able to get it in a much more succinct way, and set up the peer groups and do some of that work. So it really does give the power back to whoever the person is that's looking at it. And I saw Jay make the comment that, service providers can use this too. So that was fabulous. So do you want to, this is great, a great report. Look at the detail there, folks.
Yeah, there's no hallucination because of the way it's engineered. It's not hallucinating. It pulls data exactly as it is and does the calculation. And there's validation checks and audits before it prints it out. So you can be confident what you're presenting is true and sound. And then it has recommended actions based on its understanding, which is
from that standpoint, I just want to emphasize, everybody, recommended actions. It literally gives you executive to-dos, okay, based upon what you've set up. So this is just like a beginning look at it, and we know we're shorter on time, but you can see the amount of thought that went into it. And so I'll turn it back to Zach to wrap us up here. But Michai, it's amazing. And I want to say to everybody that when we got that feedback on the beta, we got on a call with Michai, I don't know, an hour later. And he says, yeah, I already fixed that and I created the report. So I don't want to set a level of expectation with everybody out there, but it was really cool to see you make those changes.
It was. I mean, I should have known better when he showed that capability to add the credit union specific information. I should have known it would be there. But here we are. Well, I just want to again, bring it back home that the 5300 data is not new, but where we are in the world and the tools that we have is. And so being able to pull this together in a way that I can understand the 5300 data, I feel like that's the win-win if anybody truly knows me. No, and I learned so much just being able to get in there and test it myself. I am a prompter, so for me, this was all about, I wanted to see what this data point and that data point actually might mean together, even if that's not traditionally something looked at, because I'd like to see what kind of stories are there. And it did that. It still pulled it out and gave me information that allowed my brain to go where I wanted it to go. So the capabilities are in this, but it's also a tool that really quickens the analysis and the access, and allows you to go way strategically beyond where we're at right now. So we're going to be have an official launch of this, and with a special offer. And so you are going to see that very soon. But with that, I will turn it back to Buell to close this out. And then we've got a few minutes for some questions. So throw them in the chat.
Excellent. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Michai. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Susan, great job. Really love that. With this Omni 53, I just love how intuitive it is. The interface is just so easy to use. And, with CEOs at credit unions, we know they're wearing all these different hats. They're doing all these different things. So that feature that draws your attention to where I should be focused on the here and now, so beneficial, so beneficial. I love the actionable insights that it gives you. So awesome tool. Super excited to announce this. If you want to see more about Omni 53 or Coeus Institute and their Omni CU, head over to cuss.mitchellstankovic.com and check out their page. They have a full page there with details and a lot of information on their products. And you can actually sign up there for a code that will get you a trial to Omni 53. So head over to cuss.mitchellstankovic.com and check that out. Our next episode of Friction Points is June 23rd at 10 a.m. We would love to see you guys there. I really thank everyone that joined us in the live stream here today, and jump in the chat there and let's have some questions, because the data scientist wants to talk about data.
And I'll add, hey folks, it's available now. It's free for the next 90 days. Our small credit unions, we promised that we were going to be reaching out to all of you, and look at the power start we've just provided. So we're very excited about the industry and the difference we can make, and very, very appreciative of Michai and Coeus Institute for getting involved with us and understanding what the needs are. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Or I guess I can stay on and ask questions, huh?
Yeah, we still got a couple minutes here. So anybody?
Dave.
Anybody?
Yeah.
Bueller?
Thank you, Micah. This is awesome. We actually have our own deal where we query somebody puts together an Excel spreadsheet. It's clunky, difficult to work with. So excuse me. So if I could ask, from a provider perspective, say I want to go in and see data from all the credit unions in the state of Oregon.
Yep.
And I want to see Oregon plus asset size plus 3 or 4 other call report fields. Would from a provider perspective, would we be able to sort the data in that manner?
Yeah, I just did it by state and asset size here on the credit union lookup, and it filters out. So now we're looking at those particular credit unions. Say we wanted to check out Heritage Grove. I can click their credit union and I'm presented with a similar dashboard as the one I landed on, but for this particular credit union. Then you can look at your peers' ROA, or net income, or any of the same metrics that we looked at for our own credit union, we can do for peers. And that was just through the CU lookup page, and you just select from there, or you can search.
And your database captures every field on the 5300?
Yeah.
Not every field. So there's a lot of fields that are either empty and null, or some of them are redundant. Some don't have intrinsic value for the types of analysis, but all of the major important fields are included in Omni 53, and it's a lot. I think yes, after we ingested yesterday's data, our database hit 470 million rows if you add up all the tables, the calculation tables and stuff.
So
I
yesterday
want to
was
add a point to
they
that,
finalized
Michai.
in 2026.
Cool.
Yeah.
You might get as much interest from the vendor community off this as you do from credit unions.
Yeah, so we'll be sending a special pricing out, Jay. But for now, you're able to get in there and play with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bill's got the link for you.
All
And
righty.
I
I'll
just
take a
want
look
to add
at
one
it.
thing to that from Michai's seat. What I've seen is when they took all this 5,300 data and started looking at it and analyzing it, they did their data scientist magic with it and started looking at it from an efficiency standpoint and how to make it digestible. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that has been missing for years on these reports and various other things that are out there, is that really tailored, like, how do we get this to be efficient? How do we get this to be usable? And cleaning that up. As we all know from our, exploration into AI and automation these days, is getting that clean data set from the get-go is so important. And Coeus did that from the start of this. That's the ground up built for credit unions. Part of this is so important, it cannot be overlooked.
Yeah,
All
making
right.
it intelligible was difficult when you're presented with, like Jay said, there's so many fields of data that if you're not skilled or experienced in making that data digestible, it can become a monstrosity. It can become very difficult to get any sort of insight from.
Yeah, and frankly, in some of the cases, the spreadsheet comment is also very relevant and great for us to make, because we have a ton of people that we work with that they're working out with spreadsheets. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't a ton of other providers that are looking at 5,300 data for certain purposes or for the industry. So we understand the current state of the industry. The key thing for us was let's build it from scratch for now, okay, instead of layering it on top of other programs that are out there. Let's make it real to our environment today.
Yeah. And we expect to grow our Omni suite and Omni 53 as more users provide feedback, with features and ads, and we intend to grow it and really hit all the needs of the industry. That's our desire.
Yep. So you're going to be seeing Omni 53, then we have Omni CU, Coeus offers, which integrates the credit union's data. And then we have an Omni collective series concept that we're working on to be able to bring other databases, external data, some of the things that we're going to be needing to look at from an environmental standpoint, from a CDFI standpoint, things like that that are going to layer and be available not on top of each other in an unmanageable way, but a separate way. So pretty excited, Jay. We're pretty excited about this one.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it.
Brenda, thank you for your questions in there. We appreciate those too. So, all right, folks, are we wrapping up?
Yeah, that's good to go. I will see everyone on Tuesday. Thank you for joining us. Look forward to seeing you next time.